Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the For the Doers podcast. I am Seda, your host. I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who has listened or has been listening all over the world. Thank you so much. Muchas gracias. Merci beaucoup. Thank you so much for listening. And really, thanks for validating what we're doing here. Really celebrating the doers, the people who want to be their authentic selves while they're accomplishing everything that they want to and dream about in their life. Today, I have on a friend of mine, Pomella La Roda. We met at Gucci many years ago when I was in leadership, and she was and is VIP and studio services. And the lady is a powerhouse. I've looked up to her for so many years. So I'm super grateful to have her on today. And the conversation will be about vulnerability. And Pomella speaks to how she has overcome so much, but really has empowered and gotten to know herself by embracing vulnerability. And it's led to a lot of happiness and fulfillment in her life. So I hope you enjoy listening. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate you. Happy Monday and have a fantastic week. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. Welcome back to the For the Doers podcast. I am your host, Seda, and today is one of my favorite days. I have my friend who I have been waiting to talk to on the podcast, the wonderful and talented Pomella La Roda.
What now? They still do that? I don't think they still do that.
I do. I'm stuck in the 90s.
I'm a Definitely.
Welcome, Pom. So good to see you.
And always to see you.
Thank you. I want to jump right into it with you because as soon as we start talking, the gems start falling all over the place. And, one of the reasons I wanted to talk, to have you on the podcast is because I have looked up to you for so long since we worked together back in the day at the Gooch, which Pomella is still holding court there. No, you are. But you are so resilient, and the way you just handle your business, like you're one of the people I've always looked up to you to, because Gucci was my business. That's where I achieved my business degree and really learned how to be a merchant and worked with a lot of strong people. Like it was like, I don't know if I like you or not, but I appreciate and respect you.
And I'm going to learn from you.
And I'm going to learn from you. And I think that that's brought us a lot of success and a lot of accomplishment, from going through the real Devil Wears Prada.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And it's the top of the food chain, and it teaches you across the board from A to Z about resilience and work ethic and achievement and what you're capable of getting through. And if I have to say, I've been there for almost 27 years, and I still really love it. I still enjoy
Yeah.
getting up and getting to work and whatever. And no day is the same. Even after all these years, I find myself going, okay, well, that's new.
Yeah.
That's another perspective. Let's, embrace that. And so, and that's what fashion is. It's always going to be changing. And if you can't follow the flow or at least be open to it, fashion is not for you because it changes on a regular.
Well,
So.
yeah, you're the type of person that I look at as an ideal to speak to about this, because you've been there for a long time and you created your own path. That's what I love about you the most, is like, you literally created your own path. I don't even know how to
I think
explain
I did
it.
also, I think I did with help from a lot of people and timing. I mean, the industry, again, it's about adapting to the industry. I had a manager who we all know very well, who was probably the toughest person I've ever worked for and with, of any manager that I've come across in the years I've been there. And in the beginning, it was just like, whoa, what? Whoa. And then as soon as you kind of shift your perspective and realize that they just want you to grow and do, then things started to fall into a different place, and that you were allowed in the environment to be creative and create opportunities for yourself. And I think that, again, that particular person just made me realize that you just don't have to stay in one pigeonhole indefinitely. Yes. There is a path out. There's always it's up to you to find it and work it once it presents itself. But the opportunity for me was given by people who saw my potential maybe a little bit before I did.
Yes.
But once they showed me or allowed me to see it, or at least put me in the path of my own achievement, I was like, oh, I can do this. I'm going to make them proud. And that's another thing. I liked to make people proud, especially in the beginning. I liked to work hard and show that their investment in me wasn't a waste. So I put in a lot of hours. Again, but that also brings that work-life balance thing in, where you spend a lot of time there, and it's hard. It's not easy to find that balance. And I don't think it's easy for any woman, but I also think it's hard when you're trying to achieve and be number one and make people proud. And then you've got a life outside of that, which means you've got a child, you got a husband, a family you've got to spend some time with. And there were definitely times when those choices were work choices over family life choices.
Wow, I love that.
I also had someone who said it was okay to come to them and say, I can't do this. My daughter has this, or my family is doing this. And they were like, go, do, absolutely. But I never felt, for my own work ethic, that I always allowed them to give me the opportunity to say yes to me, because I was always like, well, I'm just going to work and not mention it and just keep doing it. But what I should have, there were definitely times in retrospect when I should have used that and said, I got to do it. I got to be with my family. I got to make another choice. And I didn't always use that. I definitely spent a lot of time choosing work, which I don't regret, because, regrets are completely useless thing to do. But from a standpoint of younger self, I would definitely have been like, let's just balance it out just a little bit more.
So on that thread, what are your priorities now, after having achieved so much, and now you recognize, that maybe there were a couple of times where you could have said, you know what, I'm going to go home a little earlier,
Yeah. I definitely prioritize happiness and without being selfish, my life more. Like, I have no problem now going, oh, it's 6:30.
Yes.
But I think that's because I feel after 27 years, when I need to be there, I'm there. And I've also see the balance a little differently. I know where I need to put the extra work in, and where I can where the times where I can pull back a little and focus on other things. And I think my idea of balance, happiness, life, work balance is slightly different now. I don't have a small child anymore. She's a full-grown adult.
She is.
I have, I'm not married anymore, but I don't have that home responsibility as much. But I have it to myself. I have that, especially as you get older. I think that you should prioritize what your joy is, what your happiness is. I think I dedicate a lot of time to work, and I'm happy to do it. Whatever they need me to do, I'm happy to do it. But when I leave, I don't obsess about it like I used to. I don't always bring my phone home anymore after work. I figured the store closes at 7. We all get back in tomorrow morning, and I can't go to the store in the middle of the night and get you something. So why did I always have my phone right on me just in case? And nothing, even if someone did call me for something, it wasn't like I could rush out and be like, let me go open the store and get that for you at 2 o'clock in the morning or at 6 o'clock in the morning. But I realized that was my choice, not even their choice. Do I bring my phone home on weekends? Absolutely. Saturday, Sunday, whatever I need to do. But I definitely feel like when I leave on the evenings, on the weekdays, it's kind of like, okay, you've done all you can for the time you've been there, and how do you balance out what you need from an emotional and personal place? And usually it's not a whole lot. You get home, put the PJs on, listen to the music. I'm not a huge TV watcher, but having dinner with my friends, or just kind of being in my own space more, and finding the balance where the balance is different now. I feel the balance now. Now it's like, okay, I'm not fighting for it as much as I used to.
So how did you get to that point is my main question, because you're talking about like a major, I mean, I feel similar to you, which experience and age has gotten me to where I prioritize myself more. But as soon as I said that, something triggered you. So I want
so I honestly have to say, I was married for a very long time, 28 years, in a relationship for 30 years. When my marriage broke up, I remember thinking, a couple things happened. I'm a project person. So you tell me to do something, I'm like, line out little soldiers, I gotta do this, and you can do this, you achieve this. And I remember we had a conversation, we're getting a divorce, and I remember treating it like a project. Like, okay, go. We gotta do this, we gotta do this, we gotta do this, we gotta pack up the house, we gotta figure out who goes where and what goes where. And my daughter was an adult, so we didn't have child issues or anything. So then that project was done. And that moved quickly. Like, I've had people say to me, you were divorced in 9.5 months after 30 years. And I was like, get it done. That's the project. That's what we decided to do. I worked all the time. Like, I worked even more hours. I was at work all the time, whatever. Like, it was a diversion. I put everything in its box.
Right.
Work more, because now I'm going to be a single person. Figure out your divorce. Get that settled, figure out where you're going to live. That was my next project. Where do you want to live? Then I lived in that same house for 30 years. So the next project was packing up the house. I spent 3 months, 2.5 months packing up a house. Put the house on the market, sold in 30 days. Okay, time to moved into my next place. Somewhere along the line, though, the shift of, hey, you're still, what about you? Like, projects are great. Keeping yourself busy is great, but that doesn't change feelings. That doesn't change how when you get off the treadmill, your legs are going to be wobbly. life is like that.
Yes.
It's just that's a metaphor, but the idea that at some point you have to stop, and when you do, you're gonna be wobbly. How are you gonna handle this?
Ooh.
And for me, it was like, just keep going, keep going, keep going. I moved into this apartment where I live now. I bought this place. I renovated. Another project. Focus. It's just, and then my next project was like, well, I'm single now. I should start dating. Oh, dating is a project too. Like, organized. This is what I'm looking for. This is not what I'm looking for. I had no idea what I was doing. None. I hadn't dated in 30 years. I had no idea who I was really. And that's when the shift also started, because you see yourself one way and people see you a different way.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, especially when you start bringing people into your life, and it didn't have to be like a full-time dating situation, it's just like date here, date there. I would have conversations with people and I'd be like, whoa. All right. And it wasn't bad. It was more like, I need to pay attention to me first. Like, why is the project to fill another space? Whereas it's okay to be.
Mm-hmm.
And that took a long time. That took 2 years. Wow. A solid 2 years to be like, put the projects aside, the dust is settled, your apartment is ready, you've moved in. The constant was, of course, work, which was great, but even that was turbulent. Mm-hmm. And then when we all shut down, which I think changed everybody's life.
Yeah.
To really sit in your own space with just you for 6 months.
Girl.
I was just like, oh, this is, I have to start treating this as a learning curve, not a project, but as a learning. What are you learning about yourself? And I didn't start journaling or writing poetry. I'm not that person.
Poetry. I'd like to read your poetry.
Yeah. Could you imagine? Mm-hmm. I didn't start doing that. What I started doing was actually feeling things. Like if I was upset, like I'm not a crier. Mm-hmm. And I remember if something upset me, I'd be like, it's fine. The first time you start crying about something happened, and I was like, it's fine. I don't care. I don't give a shit. And my housekeeper at the time was there, and she left. And as I closed the door, I lost it. Oh, wow. I was in my apartment by myself, and I just started bawling my eyes out. She knocks on the door.
Oh no, she heard you.
She heard me through because I thought, she knocked on the door, and I was like, oh, did you forget something? And she goes like this. She just hugged me. And I was like a child. I was bawling on this woman's shoulder. Oh. This was a year and a half ago. Like sob, like wow. And she was just like telling me things that she's like, it's okay. You need it. You need to do this. You need to do this. Just do it. I'm here for as long. And we stood in the doorway of my apartment in the marina while I sobbed for like 2 or 3, which felt like forever to me because I'm not much of a crier.
Yeah.
2 or 3 minutes. She didn't ask me what it was that upset me. She didn't want to fix it. And I, stopped crying, slowed down the crying process. And I just looked at her and I just said, thank you. And she goes, you're welcome. And then she turned around and she closed the door and she left. But that was the first time I realized I could be vulnerable. It's okay. You have to cry. You have to be angry. You have to be frustrated. And it's not a project. Not everything is a project. Sometimes you have to feel it. And that was hard for me because I've been, the stoic one my whole life. Yep. I mean, I'll get angry. I definitely will express myself angry. But that's because I never expressed myself in a emotional way. So the emotion goes somewhere. So it was to go to anger, and not like, throwing things, cell phone kind of anger, but like sharp words and dismissiveness. And I'm much more aware of the person that I was. And I don't want I can still have those moments.
I was gonna say we are who we are, but but you feel, do you feel like you've softened in a way? But like, it's hard with vulnerability because I've gone through the same thing. Clearly, I get on here and I talk about pretty much everything, depression that I've gone through and all of the changes and things like that. But it's kind of like you are still yourself, but you have more compassion for yourself, maybe.
100%. 100%.
Maybe that's what it is, that you feel like, you know what, I can feel this, and it's okay for me to feel this, and I'm
okay
strong
for me,
but
and it's okay for me to feel it, and it hurts.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that pain that we get in our chest, I mean, I used to be like a tightening in my chest, and I was like, brush that up, like shoulders back, brush it up. But you have to, feeling it is how you move to the next, you move forward, you move through it. You have to move through things, because guess what? If we just keep pushing them to the side, all it does is piles up. It comes back. It will come back in some way to say, hi, I'm still here.
Yes, yes.
So,
your brain will bring it forward and be like, we're not done.
Or something will trigger it that has nothing to do with that moment, which is even worse, because then you're reacting in a way that someone else is like, whoa, what's her problem? When really it's that thing you've pushed down all these years.
Yes.
And I've taken responsibility for my part of the failures and the non-successes of my life. My marriage was a success. You don't stay married for 30 years without it being a success. But I definitely see where I didn't use my voice. This person half the time had no idea how I was feeling about things, what I was feeling about things, what I needed, because I didn't ask for those things. And I can't blame someone else for that. It's not blame, it's more like, blame's not the right word. It's more like, I didn't allow that person into that side of me, the vulnerable side of me, I think sometimes happy side of me.
Wow.
And that was a really tough thing to come to terms with. It was a really tough thing. And a lot of things have to do with childhood. I had a very stoic childhood, in the sense that I just was like, just get through it. Just get a job, make your own money. I mean, I've been working since I was 11 years old. Like, produce. Yeah, I had my first job delivering milk with the milkman when I was 11 years old. I was a little milk girl,
Oh my God, that's the cutest thing ever. Was that in England or here?
No, that was in England. And you delivered milk and you put it into these like bottles of milk. They were glass back then. And I would, the lady would want 2 gold top and a silver top, and I would put it in and run to her doorstep, and put it on the doorstep, knock on the door, and go back to the cart and on to the next lady, and keys and eggs that was being delivered. But I understood it. I took on that responsibility at a very early age, because I wanted to do things that my family was like. My mom was always like, you want this, and it wasn't big things I wanted. I wanted like a new school uniform every year. We couldn't afford one every year. So, you'd grow out of something. My mother was like, if you want that, you need to get a job. I was like, all right, how do I get a job? And then I realized that they had milk boys. I was like, well, why can't I do that? And my milkman at the time, whose name was Bill, cliche as that might sound,
yeah.
He was like, his kid he had, if I remember rightly, his kid was always late on every show, because you had to do this at 5 o'clock in the morning, by the way.
Wow.
And I was like, I can do it. I can do it. One day he was moaning and groaning to my mother, and I was like, I can do it. I can do it. And he was like, all right, I'll pick you up at 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. And I did that for quite a while. But that was the beginning of working, and that was the beginning, honestly, of the bad work-life balance, because I was up at 5, go to school, come home, be up at 5 the next morning. And that was how I knew that if you worked hard, you could get the things that you might aspire to want, whatever they are. But with that became an emotional stunt in a way. It was just like a project. Let's just get it done. Let's just focus on what needs to be done. And I think that sometimes I didn't connect emotionally as much as I should have.
That makes sense. I mean, I think it's what, 11 and a half years old, girl.
I know. I loved it though. I loved having a little money in my pocket. I was the only girl, so all the old ladies would slip me like, you know, a pound or 50p. Yeah, I'll buy yourself something nice. Oh, I was that girl.
Now it all makes sense.
Yeah, Bill the milkman. I don't know if he's still around. I don't think so, because that was a long time ago. But Bill the milkman, he got gypped a lot. Trust me. Those ladies gave me money. I popped that in my pocket. I wasn't sharing the shit. I knew at an early age that, oh, I need to save some money. And you worked that charm. I was a salesperson from day one.
From day one, clearly. And that's but the great thing about it, and I think that's just life in general, the great thing about it is that you have that, which is what I admire about you. Like, you're just like, we're going to get this done. I don't care what you know, when we're in retail, doesn't matter what level, we have to deal with some not nice people sometimes.
Oh yeah.
And you have always been.
But I'm sure there's a few of them out there who I wasn't so nice to either. But that's a whole nother show. But I also think that what we've done for the job that we've done is, yes, we've come across so many different people from all walks of life. But the reason it works so well too is because everything is a project in what we do. How do you get that from there to there and get it sold? And you want 10 of those? I got to call 15 stores and make that happen. Like, there's always moving parts. I love that part of what I do. I love the organization, hustle bustle part of it.
Resourceful.
And the fashion part of it. Personally, I think that I'm happy now. I can honestly say I am happy now. Not that I was unhappy before, but my level of happiness was like this.
Yeah.
And I didn't always recognize when I was on the downside of it.
Yeah.
I just mowed through it. And this is the first time in my life at this age, in the last 3.5, that I've been single. That I've been. Oh yeah, I was the girl that went from one boyfriend, broken up for 2 weeks, and like I'd meet the next one. It's almost like I couldn't let go. Like I couldn't let go of this till I was my own bridge between people.
Wow.
I lived with roommates my whole life. I lived with my mom growing up. This is when I moved into the marina by myself. I remember thinking to myself, this is alone. This is the first time you've been alone. That also makes you deal with your own stuff.
Yes. Yeah. And listen to yourself alone. That is so hard. If you can do that and still really level up and move ahead, you're dangerous, actually. You are a dangerous person because you've dealt with a lot of things that a lot of people, like you said earlier, most people did not stop to think until we had to shut down, which I think is amazing. Yeah, you had to shut down.
You had no choice.
You have no choice. And what you do with that, I think, literally maps out your future.
I agree. And if it didn't change you in some way, you're partly not human. There's no way. There's no way that this didn't change. It was, first of all, it was global. So from that standpoint alone, this is when you realize you're not alone. This was a global thing. Yes. And I was really lucky. I was living in the marina. I would, go out onto my patio. On this side, I saw the ocean, and the other side, I also believe that the universe and said, this is going to be profound for you. So we're going to put you in this little spot. We're going to help you get here. Don't get me wrong. I worked for it. I did what I had to do. But I also knew that I survived this because I was ready. I was ready
Yes.
when we were first down. I was ready to live alone. I was ready to deal with my own shortcomings. People don't like to always admit that, but we have shortcomings. I'm not
all of
so
us.
far. Yeah, all of us. And I will always, they will keep coming.
Yes.
But I feel like I don't ignore them anymore. I address them for myself and for other people. And that's yeah. You have. I feel, and I feel proud of myself for that. And I'm proud that I took the time and allowed myself to break down when I needed to just sit with it when I needed to, and understand that you've got to feel the feelings. You've got to. They're not going to go away.
Yeah.
They're never going to go away. That's happiness to me. Actually feeling the feelings is happiness.
I love that you're saying that. Okay, we're gonna start wrapping it up, but how are you dealing? Because you said you were going like this before. How are you dealing with the downs right now, even if they're less?
I deal with them as they hit me. So the other day was something had happened, triggered me, and I, rather than go with, I don't care, do whatever you want to do, this is stupid, I'm not interested, I literally was like, hold on a second, shoulders back, sit at my dining room table that I love very much with my feet up, which I also love to do. I put on a little Chardonnay, because she's my girl. She's my go-to girl. Music is another thing. Music has helped me really, like, I listen to some songs that, especially after I first got divorced, and I was just like, they're the songs of my development. They're the songs of my journey through it. And every now and then I'll go back to one of them and I'll be like, they feel different. I've grown through them. Music is a big part of that. Honestly, a glass of Chardonnay. Sometimes all I need is a glass of Chardonnay, my feet up. But I also know that what I need the most sometimes is not to have someone else's opinion on how to get out of it. Ooh. For me, that's been something, too much chatter, too much, you're gonna be fine, you're so great. It's just what, don't worry about it. He was an asshole, she was an asshole, no. All that chatter for me doesn't help me really sit with it and own my part of it, own my feelings for it. Wow. I have to get out of the dip. I have to go through the up. I have to go. It's like hiking. Mm-hmm. Oh shit. Okay. All right. Go back up. I remember having a metaphor. I have a metaphor for that too. I got this thing where I was hiking. There was this little one more. When you first break up with someone, the marriage, but you're like little Miss Fitness. All of a sudden you're like working out, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, you lost weight." And you're like, "Yeah, divorce." I'm looking at it right now. Whoa. And so you're hiking, you're doing this, whatever. But there was this mountain that I would go this way because it was the easy route. I wasn't hiking on the hard stuff. I was hiking on the flat stuff. And then one day I was like, I could go. It was straight up. And I was like, I can do that. Struggling up there. And I get to the top and I'm like, yes. And then all of a sudden burst into tears. I was like burst into tears. I'm standing there by myself, just crying my eyes out. And then I was like, because you gotta go through the dip and you gotta, only you get yourself out of back up onto the top. And then every time I hiked that afterwards, I always went that way. I always went up the hill. It never went the easy way again. I always went up. I struggled. Oh. I would probably struggle now. I struggled every time, but not as much each time. I taught myself it gets easier if you work. If you own it, you see it, you feel it, and you sit with it. And then you do something about it.
Action. Seriously.
Action 100%. Action will always, and whatever that action is for you, for everybody, it's something different.
Yeah.
And there's no one way to get through this stuff. You just got to get through it. Your way.
Your way. Exactly. Oh my God. Oh my goodness. Okay. On that note,
We could be doing this for hours.
Well, don't think I'm not going to ask you back.
I would love it. You know me, girl. But this is like having, the only thing that's different about this is like we usually we're eating dinner and having a glass of wine and chatting away.
Yes, we need
like,
to do it that way.
Absolutely.
I'll come
Dinner with
over.
Sada.
We'll sit at your dining table with a couple of glasses.
And enjoy and record that and send that out to the world. That would be awesome.
We can do that. That's going to be one of the part of the summer series.
Oh yeah, write that down.
I'm writing that down right now. Summer series.
So, yeah. Absolutely.
I love it. Well, I just want to say thank you so much.
Thank you for asking
Pomella.
me. I was so, I'm so happy for you that you wanted to do this, you put the work in, you figured it out, and you love it. And I can see your smile is huge and you're happy. And anything I can do to support you, you let me know. Anytime, I'll be happy to do it.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mwah. So thank you everyone else listening. Thank you for listening to Pomella drop her nuggets. I mean, that was chock full of small but valuable nuggets. Oh, thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We will see you next Monday with another wonderful episode of For the Doers. Thanks again, everybody. Bye.